Hey guys, it's Magic here, and it's time for another overlooked but awesome card. Although awesome, maybe that's not the first word that would come to my mind when describing this card. You know how Pact of Negation completely breaks the standard rules of Magic, which is, hey, it costs about 3 to counter a spell universally, well, and then it costs 0? There has to be a counterbalance to that, and it's at the beginning of your next upkeep. If you don't pay 5 mana, you lose the game. You ever wonder what would happen if they made Pact of Negation into a creature? Okay, it's not exactly the same, but you'll get the analogy. Coming in as a rare from just Onslaught, and that's it, which means, sorry guys, not legal in Modern. Tempting Worm. This is show and tell if show and tell didn't let you do anything. So, you want a 5/5 creature for 2? That kind of breaks the unwritten rules of Magic of, not having a 5/5 cost 2. What's the counterbalance? When Tempting Worm enters the battlefield, each opponent, not just one opponent, each opponent may put any number of artifact, creature, enchantment, and or land cards from his or her hand onto the battlefield. Any number! I thought Pact of Negation was harsh. Holy crap, this'll guarantee you lose the game under the right circumstances. So the funny thing is, if your opponent has one card in hand, you're all set. I mean, just bring it out. But at that point in the game, it's probably a pretty late turn, so what's the point? I mean, just pay 5 mana for your 5/5. I mean, whatever, unless you're holding onto a spell to grant it, like, trample, haste, and a boost or something. So that's not an option. If you were playing a black discard deck where you just bomb them with, like, Mind Rot and a whole bunch of clones, okay, I could see that. Still, it's going to take a couple turns to eat their entire hand. Trust me, I've ran a black discard deck. It doesn't work. It takes until like turn 5 or 6 for them to be out of cards, and in the meantime you're getting just pounded by their best cards. So if you're going to go to turn 6, you might as well just not use this creature. The whole point is bringing it out on turn 2. But if you did bring it out on turn 2 and you went first, they're dropping 6 cards into play, assuming they're not holding any instants or sorceries, which, okay, might be a bit of a stretch. Now, if you know that your opponent is running a deck that runs almost exclusively instants and sorceries, you could cast this and really mess them up. But it's only, we'll say, 3 extra damage, and then we'll say for 4 turns, because that would get to 20 and kill them. That's not exactly the perfect way to measure it, but it's a baseline, and you would take 4 turns to kill them with this card. So I don't really see the point of this, but it's really funny. There is something really clever you could do. Two-headed giant wouldn't work. I'm not sure emperor would work. I don't think so, because they're not considered your opponents. But in a multiplayer game that's a free-for-all, but technically you kind of do have an ally that, you're not attacking each other and you're kind of on a team, but not officially, this might work, but you still don't really know what the heck your opponent's going to do. Or I should say the remaining opponents, the opponents that are your opponents. So this is just craziness. If you like a chaotic, unpredictable, nuts, bonkers, mental type of thing, okay, put it in your commander deck. Now, there's the old trick, the old, I have no idea what you would call this, but get them to cast everything in their hand and then board wipe. I don't know, cheese and dynamite, wait for the rat to take the cheese and then detonate the dynamite? That has to be a saying in, like, some country. I guarantee they're falling for that a grand total of 1 time, because it does say any number of artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. Now, as far as tricks with this card, I don't know of any. There's really no special rulings at all about the card either. Can you somehow make yourself your own opponent? Probably not. I've never heard of that. Can you summon it directly onto their side of the battlefield under their control? Yes, there is a way to do that. There's at least one way to do that. I think if I recall, there's actually like 2. So then you would be the opponent, they'd get the worm, and then just make sure that, I guess, one of the things you're going to drop in has an ETB kill effect or something. So there's just so much you can do with this card. I mean, I'm probably just scratching the surface of this glacier. I know that's not a saying either, I just mixed 2 together. But it's not like you wouldn't scratch the surface of a glacier. The Titanic did. Oh, it's not too soon. It's not. Just get over it. I mean, the more I look at this card, the more I think of weird scenarios, and I really am not familiar with cards that are legal previous to Modern. I mean, you could technically have this enter the battlefield, the ETB effect goes on the stack, and then you counter the trigger with Well, I'll just say disallow. I think like Void Slime would do it too, and like Trick Bind, and I don't know. There's a couple of ways to stop that from happening. So then, oh, you counter that part of it. But then, once again, disallow is 3. Just summon a 5/5 for 5. So this card is so weird. It's so likely to backfire miserably on you. It's basically Glorious End in creature form if your opponents, I guess we'll just basically say, have anything important in hand at all. You could get Emrakuled with this card, okay? Your stupid little 5/5 for 2 worm is not going to stop Emrakul. The other thing is this doesn't really work as a trap. I mean, you can't just say, oh, for every player with 0 cards in hand, they take 5 damage or something. There's a card kind of similar to that. Well, then it's up to them. They just wouldn't drop anything in, or they'd only drop 1 card in. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking about the combos with it because it's just so wide open. There's so much tricky crap you could do. But if you are familiar with this card, or you've seen somebody play it, or you've seen it in a deck list, I would love to hear about the combos with it, because otherwise it just seems suicidally stupid. But it's just so unique. I've never seen a free casting card that costs 2 mana, except it's not free casting because you're not the one doing it. It's like giving your opponent the most powerful effect in the entire game, other than win the game effects, for 2 mana. Like I said, this is show and tell, except stupid. It's just mind-blowing that this is a thing that exists. If I had to come up with some sort of excuse for why this card exists, I would say for the pre-release. If they even did them back then. I don't know, Onslaught was a while ago. In Limited, I wouldn't even say in Draft necessarily, because that you could pull some good stuff, but in Sealed, so Sealed Constructed, if you drop this in, chances are nothing in their hand is good enough to stop it. So in that scenario, it would be pretty damn good on turn 2, assuming they're just going to drop in like a 0/4, a 1/1, and like the rest are spells or something. That would be one scenario that I would use it in, but Constructed, Commander, I guess just to like troll yourself? It's not even trolling people. This card is so weird. I cannot handle this card right now. So let me know what you think about this absolute madness. And Buffy Sunnydale actually was the one who recommended this card. And yeah, I thought they might actually have some kind of attack if I didn't make this. They commented it a couple times. So thanks, Buffy, for the amazing suggestion. This card is perfect for the series because it's just crazy. It is so like a novel concept, I just had to include it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.